I told you that guy.
Hi everybody, we'll be on in about 90 seconds. We're just waiting for the last song for the radio station to catch up to us, and we'll be ready to go. I like Tommy James and the Shondells. We have them there. Crystal Blue Persuasion, and I forgot what the other one was, but
KPFF-LP, Pahrump, Nevada. Statements and opinions made on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its affiliates.
You know what Pahrump needs.
Fighting Corruption with Anthony Greco. Fighting Government Corruption, the real gangsters.
Greetings from corrupt Nye County. I am Anthony Greco, and this is my show, Fighting Government Corruption. I have a public announcement for Pahrump. On April 19th, they're having a luncheon for the vets and the staff of the VA clinic. Okay, and that will happen. It'll be hot dogs and hamburgers. This is for the veterans and the people that work there. It'll be a Hawaiian theme. So any vets, if you don't know about that, and you listen to the program, you do now. Enjoy. We'll be announcing that every show just in case, so anybody forgets. Support for KPFF is brought to you in part by Pure Communications, an internet service provider for Pahrump and the surrounding areas. Pure Communications, 702-628-5662. Okay, let's get right into it. Trump said, collusion delusion is dead. 3% of the population polled don't know if it was a hoax, was it not? 47% believe the progressives that Trump is a criminal, and 50% of the people believe that it was a witch hunt. So our country is very, very divided. So here's another one we got going on. I want to know what's wrong with the United States that the progressives want to change it. The progressives are talking about adding more people to the Supreme Court, so I guess they can get their way. They want to load them up with a bunch of progressives and people who hate this country. They don't want to go by, let's change the rules. If it doesn't work for us, let's just change the rules. But they're talking about adding, having 15 people on the Supreme Court, and they're saying, well, 5 should be picked by Republicans, and 5 should be picked by Democrats, and the other 5 will be just random psychos. So why don't we just change what made this country great? I don't know why we just can't follow what the founders gave us. I mean, what was wrong with everything right up until Obama became president? Elizabeth Warren wants to get rid of the Electoral College. So I guess what she's saying is Rhode Island, Nevada, and all these states that only have a couple of million people, what we want means nothing. because you only have to have two states vote. You just have California and New York, the main cities, because not all of California is progressive. If you look at the map between the red and the blue, it's near San Francisco and LA, everything else is red. Those are the two areas, but that's where most of the population is, just like in New York. The people upstate New York don't vote like the city of New York. As a matter of fact, they don't even want to be included into things. When they go on vacation with their New York plates and people start ripping them apart and they say, whoa, I'm not from New York City, I'm from upstate New York. So, and I'm from the city of New York, but I was from Staten Island, and that's the shiny part of the apple. The rest is all rotten. So, yeah, Elizabeth Warren wants to get rid of Electoral College because, they just want the popular vote. And that's not going to work for everybody. So let me tell you something that I talked to my friend Vinny about. Trump signed an executive order for all of the federal agencies to figure out what they're going to do if there's an EMP, electronic magnetic pulse. Now, that's what happens when a nuclear bomb goes off. But I don't think they're worried about a nuclear bomb going off. I think they're worried about just an electronic magnetic pulse. And what happens is, well, I'll explain it this way. What you should do is you should get your family that has 24 or 48 hours, invite them over to your house for a barbecue, and turn around and tell them, listen, like your kids or brothers and sisters, and have them come over your house. And this is what I was telling Vinny. I told him, have your kids come over the house and tell them you want them to stay over for the weekend. And at 3 o'clock on Friday afternoon, take their cell phones away and pull the main breaker on your circuit breaker panel. And now figure out what you're going to do for 48 hours with no electricity. No cell phones, can't call anybody for help, no electricity, nothing. Then sit there and figure out what you're going to do to survive for 48 hours. You will have the best education that money could not buy. And if they give up, what I told them is most likely they'll make it from 3 o'clock until sundown. Everybody will eat and they'll sit around the table and decide what they're going to do and go to sleep. Then the next morning when they get up and they figure out how they're going to make breakfast and what they're going to do the rest of the day, the brain will actually go into survival mode and figure out, what am I going to do with no communication, no electricity? Okay, be nice to them. Do it in the spring or the fall so that you don't need heat or air conditioning. And see how long they last. I turned around and told them they probably will not make it to dark the next day. They'll say that they give up and give me my cell phone back and I'm going home. But I'm telling you, you want to click less and all these preppers and this and that and everything else. But do the test. If you have the time, do it. And see what happens. And I guarantee you that little test, they will remember for the rest of their lives. They will turn around and always think in the back of their head, well, how am I going to do this without power? How am I going to do this without power? And you will put, I'm not trying to say that you want to mentally abuse them, but you want to make them start thinking. Okay, today you ask a kid a question and he goes on his cell phone and he looks it up in Google. Well, what are all these people that live by cell phone? What are they going to do? They're going to have to either look it up or figure it out. And I'm telling you, it'll be the best education of survival you'll ever get. Because remember, people are buying all this food storage and this and that. And I bet you half the people that buy food storage and they got canned goods and everything, I bet you a majority of them don't even have a can opener that doesn't work without electricity. So you can have all the food storage you want, but how are you going to get into it? And how are you going to cook it? Remember, I have friends of mine, husband and wife, they belong to the Mormon Church. And they turn around, I remember when the Mormon Church used to tell their people to have a year's worth of food in case they run into economic problems themselves, like they lose their job and they have enough of stuff to survive with until things get better. And now it's at 5 years. And what my friend turned around and told me was that they said, the people of his church said, that if there's an economic collapse or something like an EMP, they expect 150 million people in the United States will be dead in 90 days. Just think about that. We got 350 million people. 150 million people will be dead in 90 days. And I can believe that, and I'll tell you why. When we had Hurricane Katrina down south, and you seen all these people on the roofs, and they're with signs, help, help, okay, because the water is up to the middle of the house and they're hanging out on the roof. And why did that happen? Did they not believe a hurricane was coming? Or they didn't know a hurricane was coming? Because they're too busy playing their games on the cell phone, they're not watching the news, they don't know what the weather is, uninformed, okay? That'll be the 150 million people that are probably dead. Or part of those people will be the one waiting for the government to come and help them. And they'll be the dead bodies. Now, you could turn around and say, well, who cares? They're dummies anyway. Well, you're going to care when the bodies are laying all over the place and the wild animals are eating them for food. And then you got all kinds of diseases going on. And that can affect everybody, even the smart ones. So, I'm telling you, if you want a good test, if people like camping and stuff, and probably those are the people who'll do the best, the ones who camp. Probably homeless people will do better because they don't have any of those. They don't have any of those luxuries right now. Okay, they probably wouldn't even know the electricity went out. Now, my friend said to me, he said, "Well, if that happens, I'll just load up my car and shoot up to my Uncle Willie's house up in Lake Apacon, New Jersey, because it's pretty safe up there." And I says, "That's all well and good, but with an EMP, you don't have a car. Okay? You don't have a car because all electronics in that car is fried. Okay, you might as well just take your car and throw a match in it because all your electronics are fried. So you wouldn't even be able to start your car. So, then, do you have enough of gas in your car? How many people let their car run down to empty? Okay, EMP, you can't get gasoline. What are you going to do? So, this is a test, without being prepared, on shutting the electricity off without people knowing at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and see how far they survive. That'll probably be the best education you got of that show since I've been here for 6 years. You do that, and you got a chance of surviving. Because you will learn how to survive then. Forget books, forget what a book tells you, do it, and see what happens from there. Okay, the left-wing media, we'll get back into this again, the left-wing media, the progressives, believe that Trump is still guilty. Okay, now, the sun rised and set on Robert Mueller, according to the progressives. And now, he didn't give them what they want. They wanted him, if he had a lie or not, they wanted him to find Trump guilty of something. And what's going to end up happening, this is all going to backfire, because I don't think Mueller is going to lie to any one side or the other. I think he wants not to go to prison. And I don't think he's going to make things up. Maybe his second in command there, I forgot what his name was, Weissman or something like that. He's a very sick dude. He's the one that destroyed Enron, and it came up that they lied about everything. They destroyed that company and all the investors on a lie. And if you don't believe me, there's a book out there called License to Lie by Sidney Powell. I mentioned that once before. Get that book and tell me if I'm making that up or not. Okay. Remember Stormy Daniels' I was going to say liar, lawyer? And they were going after Trump for this and that. Well, he's got his own legal problems. Stormy Daniels had actually dumped him, but now he's got a problem because he's been trying to extort $20 or $25 million from Nike, and Nike wouldn't go for it, so they turned him in. So he was brought up on charges. This is a guy that CNN was saying that he would make a good candidate for the Democratic Party for president. Okay? Well, in the same day he was indicted in New York and California, and he had to go back and forth to face charges. And he says that he's going to be found not guilty, and maybe he will, maybe he won't, because I didn't see the paperwork, so I can't make a determination on what I see on the news. That's totally insanity. But you don't hear CNN reporting any of that. Why? Because he was the Messiah for them. He was going to destroy Trump. And now he's destroying himself. Maybe he'll get away with it. Who knows? Or maybe he's not even guilty. So I shouldn't say maybe he'll get away with it. Maybe he is not guilty. So, guess who's getting out of prison? Johnny Jihad was a 19-year-old kid way back when who was fighting in Afghanistan, an American kid fighting from California. So being in Afghanistan and California is almost the same thing. And he's going to be set free. So I guess he did maybe 15 years, a little less than 15 years. And he is not going to live in the United States, which is good for us. He's going to go to some European country and live his life as a Muslim, and he won't get in any kind of trouble. Okay, let's talk about reparations. Okay, some of the progressive people running for president are talking about we should start paying reparations to people for slavery. Well, I think that's too late. I don't think anybody who was slaves in this country are still alive. I don't think the children of the slaves are still alive. Probably the grandchildren of the slaves are not alive. But we're going to have to start paying minorities reparations. Now, I'm not going to do it, and I'll tell you why. My family was in Italy. We had nothing to do with the slaves coming to this country. So I don't think that I should pay. I don't think my parents should pay. I don't think my cousin should pay. Because my whole family was in Italy at that time. But see, how they do this is they're going to track down all the companies from back in those days, train companies and stuff like that, and see who bought them out and what companies merged with other companies that still exist today, and they're going to tax them to oblivion to pay for reparations. Was slavery a good thing? Definitely not. But you can't, other people cannot pay for other people's mistakes. See, the government people, the progressives, understand that, because every time the government makes a mistake, who pays? Everybody here pays. Everybody's listening to this pays, even the ones that aren't listening to it. We pay every time government makes a mistake and they lose money, our tax dollar money, and they have bigger debt, we pay. Because the government doesn't make any money. They print money, but they don't make anything. They don't make anything but rules and regulations that business people pay. You pay in taxes. Government makes nothing but rules and regulations to make you slaves to them. So slavery is still alive in this country. It's just that we're all slaves if we're not working for the government. So, and remember, people keep saying our democracy. This is a republic. So, we got a caller. Go ahead, caller.
Hi, Anthony. It's Amy.
Hi, thanks for the hat.
We're touching a lot of issues tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Restoration, the most current one you're talking about. People forget that the Irish were the first slaves brought over here, and those are my descendants. And well, I'm a descendant of theirs. Pardon me.
Mm-hmm.
And black people owned Irish slaves. And so, yeah, there's a lot of...
When did that happen? What year? What year was that?
What?
Do you remember the year that happened?
Oh, gosh, that was back in the 1700s when they had Irish slaves. Anybody can Google it.
Yeah, well.
As a matter of fact, you've heard of Hell's Kitchen
Oh yeah.
in New York.
My parents came from there. That my parents
Well,
lived on West 46th Street. Yeah.
one of my doctors, after my car accident in 2008, actually was born in Hell's Kitchen of Irish parents, and they died of disease. And he's the first one that ever told me about it. And when they were orphaned in Hell's Kitchen, the Irish kids, they were put in insane asylums. They weren't put in orphanages, they were put into insane asylums. And he decided that he was going to be an apprentice to a doctor that used to come and check them so that he could eventually get a way out of there. And he's the one enlightened me over the first slave and the conditions that the Irish people were under and how they were treated was horrible. And he had photographs. It was disgusting. And the other things, you know, one thing that's been bothering me lately, and you always talk in a positive way about President Trump and the things that what he's trying to do, and I agree with you. But I am just so sick and tired of some of these other guys that, you know, speak out. They do live Facebook and they do, you know, talk shows, and they're always criticizing. When is he going to build the wall? When is he going to do this? When is he going to do that? And, you know, if they would just support this guy and get other people behind him and talk about it, they would find out that it's the rhinos in Congress and the Senate and the Democrats in the Congress that are to blockade him every time he tries to do something for this country.
And yeah, I agree with you, but you know what? I feel that Trump has done more in 2 years than most presidents did in 8 and some of them in 4.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And I'm sick and tired of hearing these other people pick one thing that he's not been able to accomplish. And my point is, he hasn't been able to do that because he's got rhinos in the Congress that are fighting him every inch of the way.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's got people like these guys, you know, complaining